If you're not going to follow governance, growth will always be a challenge.
Was there a moment early in your life, in your career, which quietly shaped your decisions even today?
I can think of a couple of things. To be compliant always, I want to be disciplined and follow rules. Unfortunately, you see, these things create a big impression on me that you've got to follow the rules, regulations, be compliant, be disciplined.
What do you think, what do people outside boardroom completely misunderstand about what's happening inside?
I'll tell you what, in the earlier days when we used to have board meetings, it was considered to be a tea and coffee meeting. But over a period, things have changed a lot.
A habit you have that others find annoying. One thing you still overthink? A word that describes you outside the boardroom? What excites you most about being part of Welspun GCC?
Oh, it's the young, vibrant people that we have in GCC. And that excites us a lot. Imagine that how things would change or would take place in the future. You may be wrong. It's not that you're always right.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Converse with the Pro, another episode. In today's episode, we go beyond balance sheets and into the boardroom, where some of the toughest decisions shaping organizations are made. Joining us is Mr. Arun Todarwal, a seasoned chartered accountant and a board leader with decades of experience guiding some of India's largest conglomerates. But this conversation is not about finance. It's about judgment, courage, governance, and human side of decision making at its highest level. So if you are wondering what differentiates a great leader and organizations, this episode is for you. Welcome again and welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our invite and being a host for our podcast today. This is the 5th episode of our Converse with the Pro, and trust me, it's amazing experience of hosting a lot of leaders in my career journey, and it is Welspun where this has happened. So, before we go deep dive into boardrooms, governance, I would like to start behind the person who is the person behind the board, maybe, because, every decision, judgment comes from somewhere. So, we would like to know more about was there a moment early in your life, in your career, which quietly shaped your decisions even today?
Thank you, Viral. Thank you for having me here today. My pleasure to be here. When you talk about something that's happened to me early in my life, I can think of a couple of things. First of all, my basic nature is that I want to be compliant always. I want to be disciplined and follow rules. I can never break rules. And then I used to wonder, everyone breaks rules. You go anywhere and
True.
People, they just barge in and they want to break rules in every way. And why could I not do that? And over a period of time when I started thinking, this goes back to about, I think, 55 years earlier. My father had a big influence on me. 1973, when TV came to Mumbai, and we had black and white TVs only being sold. ECTV was the most popular at that time. You wouldn't have even heard about it. And we had an ECTV, black and white TV. And then we realized there were these color TVs. And my father, he was a chartered accountant practicing. And he had a client who had a lot of foreign travel. So I used to tell him, why don't you ask him to get us a color TV? And my father said, no, I don't take obligations. And that remained in me until today. I don't take obligations. Never. I'm very averse to that. Then there was a close friend that I had. He was 16 and I was 17 that time. And, when this Wankhede Stadium was being built, a new club, BCA club, was starting. So they were giving membership out for 1,000 rupees each. And my father took his own membership and two of my elder brothers. And this friend of mine was 1 year younger than me, only 16, though I was 17. He went and took the BCA membership. He went and took a driving license. And then I asked my father, I said, why don't I also go ahead? And he said, no, don't worry. Once you're 18, I'll get you the BCA membership. Don't worry. Unfortunately, I never got the membership because he passed away before I turned 18, So, but you see, these things create a big impression on me that you got to follow the rules, regulations, be compliant, be disciplined, and that is what I have lived all my life with.
So that's amazing. That's very powerful, actually.
Yeah.
So parents always influence, but I think your leadership lessons are coming from your journey.
And that's 55 years earlier.
Yeah.
It comes from there.
It's even powerful today.
Yeah.
So you've seen the evolution from being a technical expert and to becoming a trusted voice in the boardrooms, in the critical decisions in the organizations. So, when was there any time where you realized that numbers are not good enough, because you're a chartered accountant? So was there any time where you realized that numbers are not enough, in that influence and judgment also matters?
According to me, numbers are the base that is formed. You use your experience and expertise on those numbers and then come to a judgment. That's the right way to come to a judgment.
Right.
So that is how I would work on this. But I need the numbers as a base.
So you're deriving numbers
Yeah.
as a base, and then
Exactly.
influence. But has influence played any role?
Influence generally does. Nobody can really influence me under any circumstances. I'm very
Numbers.
clear. I've been an auditor all my life.
Yeah.
And as an auditor, nobody could ever influence me in any way whatsoever. And that was known. The entire, all the clients and everybody whom I used to deal with knew that they can never influence me. I would do what is correct, what is right, irrespective whether you want to stay with me, you don't want to stay with me. You want to be my client, you don't want to be my client. It doesn't matter to me.
True. You've been on board of many organizations, sir. So, was there any instance where you had given some advices and they were taken, not taken? Any instance you would like to share?
It happens several times. In the board and also during my consulting, And very often it happens, and I don't feel bad about it, because I feel it's my job, my duty to give the advice, whatever I think is correct.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, and I can very well see how things are going to move in the future. But yes, people don't see it that way. They don't agree to it, and they do not take my advice. But let me tell you, invariably, they have come back to me after a certain period and realized that they burned the fingers by not taking my advice, and then they try to follow what I say. This has happened to me several times. Several times. Yeah.
But then just out of curiosity, maybe I would like to ask is something. Is there any decision where where data is saying that this is right, this is right, this is right, this is right, but your inner gut or inner feeling is saying no, something is. You're not convinced for that, right? And in such situations, what did you? What's your stand on it?
Data is history, and when you are taking a decision, it's with the future. So sometimes you got to match the two. The data is history, but the future may be different. So you need to play a role where you have to consider both, to give a right judgment or right decision on that.
Right. So some predictions also might have helped.
Exactly. It does. You do imagine, because you've been so many years in this industry, you do imagine that how things would change or would take place in the future. You may be wrong. It's not that you're always right. But you do have some inclination on that or some instinct on that, how things will move. So you definitely take that into account when you are giving a decision, or advising people on that,
Absolutely. That's very thoughtful. That's true. And today, after so many decades of experience, guiding so many Indian conglomerates, if I start on introducing you with the history of your tenure, I think will fall short of time. But yeah, I've been associated with you're guiding so many Indian companies, promoter led, the other MNCs, organizations. What do you think? What do people outside boardroom completely misunderstand about what's happening inside?
I'll tell you what. In the earlier days when we used to have board meetings, it was considered to be a tea and coffee meeting. Okay. That changed over a period, and then it was tea, coffee, and snacks meeting. But over a period, things have changed a lot. And the government also, the authorities also made the directors more and more responsible. And after that, the board members realized that they need to be more involved in the affairs of the company, and they start reviewing every decision that is being taken. They would want to give their guidance and their thoughts on every decision, and really contribute a lot. However, people outside yet think that the board hardly does any work. It's the management that is doing the work. It is we who are doing the work. What does the board do? They come once in 3 months, they sit down and they have a long meeting, keep discussing, and then maybe have a lunch or a dinner. But not realizing the amount of efforts that go into a boardroom, because we need to be aware of every aspect of every decision that is being taken. The risks that are coming, how do we take care of the company in the future, and we should not be caught, unawares.
True.
You know.
There's a lot of experience you bring into together, like, from the industry, from the market, the current trends, the future trends. So that's true. And I think people at the ground level also think the same thing, that the management is just presenting what I'm doing. So everybody has a ladder of perception. Correct. And that's very beautifully quoted, I mean, in very simple words. So has there been any instance where you felt that this certain decisions, because people often say, whether in your early days, college days, certain things look good on paper, but when it's reality, probably it's not that good. Any such instance you would like to quote some?
Let's accept when the paper is made, it's made by the people in the organization, and they always want to impress upon that they can do the best.
Yeah.
Dreams are very high, but we need to see the reality. Okay. We can understand. We would always like to give the best. I'll tell you, there have been cases when, we have these quarterly meetings. Mm-hmm. And one of the CEOs, every meeting, he used to show us the sky. But with the actual results, it was not even the earth. Okay. It went on for a couple of quarters, 6, 7, 8, 9 quarters. And then I put my foot down. And I said that you can't do that every time. Let's be factual.
Correct.
What you are saying we're going to do and what actually comes out. So let's accept that we are not able to do more than this and find solutions for that. But just don't show us the best and then not even give us the basic,
Correct. So we would like to learn something from your experience. Like, I'm sure there have been instances where people are more powerful in the room where you're taking decisions, and you might have certain point where you have strongly, stood by that point. How any message for the folks today or in the mid-senior levels who are presenting, when they want to convey something, how should they put forward their point strongly without offending somebody, irrespective of the power they are surrounded with?
Couple of things. First of all, you should have clear thinking. Because if you have clarity in thought, then you know that what you're saying is a fair thing.
Correct.
Once you're convinced it is fair, and then you have to be strong on your point. And whenever you state your point, it should not be offending to anyone whatsoever. Each one is an equivalent with you in the room, on the table.
Correct.
And you cannot offend anyone. You have to say your viewpoint and let the others take their own judgment on it. Maximum what you can do is say your viewpoint and give a reasoning for it. It's up to the others whether they want to accept or not accept. You can't force them on that.
Okay.
So that is how you will ensure that you will not offend anybody, and you will state your point in a strong manner, whatever you feel is the correct thing, is a fair thing.
Right. I think you said it in one word, that's knowing what you're delivering.
Exactly. Clarity of thought.
Clarity of thought.
Yeah.
Very nice. I mean, I did think of it, but not in the way that you quoted, for sure. So, do you think governance slows down the speed of any organization? Because it's often talked about that, because of governance, there's a lot of delays, or, I mean, it's a cyclic impact, maybe governance into bureaucracy into governance. Can you help us clarify this?
Earlier days, people running the businesses in a smaller way. The owner used to control the businesses personally and everything. They started growing, and when they started growing, they had to let go of a lot of powers, decision making. And then we talked about setting up processes in organizations. When we talked about that, everybody in the organization said, if we need to set up these processes, our business goes slow. We can't do work in a proper manner. It'll just slow down, all of us. But we realize that things cannot move without processes.
Right.
We need the processes. And then gradually the acceptance came in, and today everything works on processes. Same way, governance is a must for long and sustainable growth. If you're not going to follow governance, growth will always be a challenge for you. It'll hit you where you may really feel that it's affecting the whole business as a whole.
So, how do you think AI is going to play a role into it? I'm just going from traditional to AI because AI is there all around in our lives today.
AI is not going to decide what governance you need to do. AI might decide how you need to ensure governance is taking place. So that is how AI will help you.
Right.
Governance is something that we need to think. Individuals need to think as to what would be the proper governance.
Correct.
And then AI will help you. How do you implement that? How do you ensure that governance is being followed? And how do you identify where governance is not being followed or may not be followed? AI can help you in that.
Right. Nicely quoted, sir. Something, if you've seen traditional organizations, you have seen the organizations evolving over decades from scratch to creating big ones. So when you look at a relatively younger crowd, an evolving ecosystem, something like Welspun GCC, you're an independent director on our board as well. So what stands out to you in terms of how differently is building capabilities and leadership in such organizations happening?
What happens is in the earlier days, it was one boss who should state everything and everybody else listens.
Correct.
But now with Gen Z, the best part is that everyone has a chance to say.
True.
And everyone listens. Yes, finally the boss will do what he thinks is proper. But at least he gives an opportunity. And let me tell you one thing, none of us are perfect.
True.
I've had occasions when I felt I'm doing the thing in the best way possible, till I had one young Gen Z person coming and telling me that, sir, I don't think this looks the best. And I took it with an open mind, and believe it or not, I changed the whole presentation, and out of 7 presentations that were being made, 6 by others and 1 by me, mine was the only one accepted. Because I listened to
Correct.
that young boy who told me what he felt about it. So that is, that is the best part about today's Gen Z, that everyone has an opportunity to say. I'm saying you can talk, you can say what you think about your boss, you can say what you think about your leader. You have the option to say that, and that's a very nice, open, transparent way of dealing with things.
Gen Zs are very vocal.
And they should be.
Yeah.
They should be vocal. Then you come out with the best.
Yeah, I think we all should be taking this lesson from them, that we should be vocal.
Of course. I'm saying our generation should take that lesson.
Yeah.
Very much so. That they're vocal and they need to be vocal, and they'll come out with the best.
So is the stance of board also changing with working with the ambition, the speed, the strong Gen Z workforce around? Is there going to be some shifts in the governance structures in terms of board, how board is operating earlier versus today?
You see, what is happening with the Gen Z, we have an issue is that they do not give governance as much importance because they're too busy trying to get into their work, their style of working, their life that they lead. Media keeps them very occupied and busy. So that sensitization has to be brought to them. That if you want long-term success, long-term sustainability, then governance is important.
Correct.
So you need to sensitize them on that. Look, they are very open to accepting suggestions. They are not the type who say, sorry, we don't accept.
Yeah.
They're very open to that. But you sensitize them on that. And you get the best from them.
Well, I still feel like asking on Welspun GCC more, as someone who has seen both legacy institutions or emerging organizations, what excites you most about being part of Welspun GCC, sir?
Oh, it's the young, vibrant people that we have in GCC. You feel so energetic when you're among the GCC people. I feel very nice. I feel extremely nice. And the energy with which they do work. Each time that I come to any of the offices or the meetings, and there's so much that they have to share. And that excites us a lot. Again, let's accept it. We are not from the time when technology was great. We come back from the time when we didn't have computers. Calculators were just introduced.
Correct.
And then today you see the way GCC people are, sort of evolving, and the way they are starting newer things. They're discovering so many more areas that they can work in. It's pretty interesting. It's always exciting. Always exciting to be with the GCC.
We've been to all the offices, and I think.
Oh yes, it's always been interesting. I've had a great time. All the offices,
Right. If your advice, or let's say if the next generation gets one thing right about leadership that probably the previous generations have struggled with, they faced some struggles, and you would say that this thing you can fix it right away and save your time, energy, efforts, everything. What could it be?
No, you said one
leadership thing that the current generation should be taught upon, or something that the previous generation missed out or took longer time.
First of all, the previous generation always thought that they were right. Right? So the young generation needs to first of all be open about newer ideas.
Right.
And very important is that they need to have clarity of thought. If they have a clarity of thought, then they would take the new ideas in a much proper way to be able to help them to do better. So that is what I would feel, is that they need to be open with newer ideas and have clarity of thought.
Absolutely. I think that's a struggle which I guess people are having in the current generation.
You see, clarity of thought, again, if you talk about clarity of thought, they have to understand, if you follow principle of do what is fair, if you always follow this principle of do what is fair, you'll have clarity of thought. You'll build it up in yourself. And once that is built, you look at everything in that manner. You'll never take wrong decisions. You'll never do a wrong thing whatsoever.
True. Very, very true. So one thing I've observed, sir, is like, as leaders grow, decisions become it's not more about certainty, it's more about responsibility. What's your take on the statement?
Yeah, because only if you behave responsibly, then you will do the right thing.
So it's not certain. I mean,
it's not certain. It's not certain. It is always it's more of a responsibility. You need to behave responsibly. That is where sometimes the Gen Z also ignores, because they see the short-term gains, immediate basis,
True.
And not behave responsible enough, which are things that have to be pointed out to them, brought to their notice, and they are open to all this.
I think so. I mean, digital transformation is happening everywhere, and that's going to continue. I think that's the disruption that's there in the industry. Where do you see the industry growing, particularly in the GCC sector, if I talk about, or in the terms of Welspun, if we see, where is it heading towards? Any thoughts on that?
Couple of things. One is this digital transformation in the shared services that we are doing will help us a lot in that. But more than that is what we are doing in AI. There, I think there is no end to it. There's so much that can be done. I think we are just in the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that can be done. And this digital transformation will help us grow in a big way in that. But we need to be absolutely on our toes and absolutely alert on what is happening around the world.
It will be a super collaborative effort from all the ends. I
Absolutely.
guess.
Absolutely.
So this brings to our second part of our conversation, which is a rapid fire, sir. And rapid fire is going to be rapid fire. We'd like to hear quickly your views. The first thought that comes to you hearing these statements, questions that maybe we are asking. A habit you have that others find annoying.
Stickler for rules.
Your go-to excuse when you want to avoid something.
Just be silent.
Don't
react.
How do you excuse with being silent?
Don't react. God's given you 2 ears, listen from one, remove it from the other.
And that's a board advice, I guess. One thing you still overthink?
That everyone should be together. Whatever decisions we take should be taken together. I'm very particular on that. So you need to really work towards convincing everybody on that. It may not happen always, but I would really think about that.
A word that your family describes you?
Very helpful. Good, a good guide, I would say. They see me guiding people, mentoring people, so they say that. Though they don't accept what I say, that's a different story. Because they say like it's in the house, so the value is not as much as what it's for the others. But they see how much I'm mentoring the others.
I think your extended family at work also says the same.
Yes, they do. They do. Yeah.
One thing you cannot compromise on, even if it's a bad day or a tiring day.
Well, doing whatever is fair, whatever it may be, good or bad, helpful or not helpful.
Very deep one, sir. One thing you do when no one is watching.
I don't get that opportunity. When no one's watching. It's always, whether I'm at home, I'm in the office, or wherever I am, you're never alone on your own. The only time I think you're alone when you're in the shower. That's it. I've always observed that.
You're always surrounded.
Always surrounded.
So you're blessed to be surrounded.
I am a family man also, so I stay with the family. Whenever
Yeah.
I'm at home, I want the family around. Office, I want people around. I will not go to the office if there's nobody in the office.
Yeah.
So I'm always surrounded people.
A word that describes you outside the boardroom.
Tough mentor. Tough mentor.
Okay. And if you are not in this profession, maybe finance or not into board, any other profession you would be into?
Travel. I love travel.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're still traveling, right?
Oh yes, I travel a lot. A lot.
Who is more disciplined, you or your younger self?
Me or my?
Younger self, a few years back.
I think all throughout I've been disciplined. I would not say that it is more or less.
No change.
No change. I've been always disciplined.
One word that describes your weekend mood.
Just chill. Do nothing. Do nothing.
I think we're going to play a song on this. Just chill.
Okay.
A last question from me. Tea or coffee? One word reaction.
Tea. I'm an absolute tea person.
Great. It was amazing having a conversation, sir. Is there, you've been very sharp, precise, very clear on your thoughts. I think that's where you started, clarity of thoughts. And
Exactly.
that's where we have been able to have this wonderful discussion with you. Thank you so much, sir, for,
My pleasure.
being our guest and having this engaging session with us. I'm sure people are going to love it. And
Thank
looking forward to have for a few more conversations in future too.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.